starter against him today, and that is Taijuan Walker. As I look through my notes here, and I wanted to point this out. I don't want to forget it. The Giants have won 7 straight against right-handed starters. How about that? That's one of those stats that I keep, and we'll see how they do today against Taijuan Walker. A couple of things that I pointed out, and I want to talk about on the show today. One is this Luis Arraez for San Diego. With San Diego, he's hitting .391, 34 for 87. And he is part of the resurgence of San Diego. They have done a really good job, and they're hitting right-handed pitching very well as they are. They are now 5.5 back, so that's where they are there. They have this other reliever that I want to point out, Jeremiah Estrada, and they picked him up on waivers from the Cubs earlier this winter in November. And the kid is 13 innings pitched. He struck out 20, and he struck out 5 of the 5 outs yesterday against the New York Yankees. So bullpens are so important in baseball. They're critical. The Giants have a good bullpen, good depth in their bullpen, and the Phillies have it too. We'll talk about them today for sure. But the Padres are starting to put that bullpen together again. And when the bullpen gets together for the Padres, it's usually a lot of trouble. All right, let's talk about the game today. Taijuan Walker goes for the Phillies today. He's 31 years old. I've seen him pitching at Oracle before, and he got knocked out in the first inning last year. But he is one of those workhorse guys. They signed him to a big contract. They didn't use him in the playoffs last year. The Giants saw him earlier in their trip to Philly. He went 6 1/3. They got to him early and couldn't put him away. 5 hits, 3 runs, a homer, a walk, and 7 strikeouts. 4 games in May for Walker. By the way, his whip is 1.54, and the Giants are starting to do better in getting that on-base percentage up there. Looked it up this morning. They're at 317 now, and they were at 306. So if he puts people on base, it could play into the Giants' hands today. But in May, 20 innings in 4 games. That's 5 a game. 9 runs given up, 4 homers, 8 walks, and 17 strikeouts. So of the home runs, 3 are solo shots, but he can be hit and he can be wild. The Philly bullpen is deep. It is very deep. It's a good bullpen. We've seen it before. Hoffman is terrific. Of course, Alvarado is there. Strom is there. Kiekering is there, the kid. So they've got people that they could go to. But lefties against Taijuan Walker, 339 with 3 homers. Righties, 255 with 3 homers. The on-base, the opponent's batting average against them is 301. How about that? So the Giants, let's hope they can get the bats going today because they're going to need it with Blake Snell on the mound. I'm not sure what he can give the Giants today as he works his way back into shape. But for Taijuan Walker, just to finish it up, this is his 200th Major League start. His 200th Major League start. How about that? He's 72 and 56. 72 and 56. First time through, 364. So that's the Giants had him on the ropes the first time through, and they got him at Oracle last year. So 364 the first time through. So get ready to swing those bats. Soler 3 for 9 with a homer against him. Estrada 4 for 6 with a homer against him. And that's about it for people that sort of do some damage here. Well, the big story today for the Giants on this Memorial Day, of course, it's been a good 1/3 of the season so far. We've got 4 wild months ahead of us. It's Blake Snell. If the Giants are going to do anything in this division or in this wild card race, they're going to need Blake Snell. He's 31 years old. He comes off the paternity list now. He's 0-3 with an 1140 earned run average. His 2 rehab starts were terrific. And then when he came back off the rehab start, not so good. So he's pitched 4 games for the Giants, 15 innings, 23 hits, 19 runs, 2 homers, 9 walks, 17 strikeouts. In my opinion, you can throw all that away. Lefties are 1 for 9 against them, righties 21 for 58. The arm is there. This guy is outstanding. He's going to give you 5 or 6 innings. He's going to be all over the place. He just has to get his command down because the fastball is there, the curveball is there, And once he gets it together, he's going to be a tough pitcher for the opposition. So we'll see what happens today, but he comes back. He's yet to have a good game for the Giants. He's home. He's got a big crowd today. It's the Phillies in town, and he's a Cy Young Award winner, and he's going to be a new father. And Blake Snell, he's got to get it done today. That is a story for the Giants today. 4 stolen bases, no caught stealing against him as well. Up and down that Philly lineup, the one guy, Whit Merrifield, who probably would be in there today, I assume, in the infield, 7 for 12 with a homer against him. Real Muto, 4 for 15 with a homer there. So it's Blake Snell, Taijuan Walker, game 1. We've got Wheeler pitching tomorrow, Sanchez on Wednesday. Who knows what the Giants' rotation is going to be like at the end of this series. But it is the Yankees coming in next weekend, and we wait for a week like this of baseball. It's pretty good. All right, that's our open for today. It is Phillies, Giants, Giants 27-27, 1/3 of the season down, and they are in decent shape and playing some pretty good ball, some pretty exciting ball. We've got a lot to talk about today. The Professor next, right here. KNBR 680, 104.5, the sports leader.
Talking baseball with Marty Lurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Everyone likes a party, but everyone loves a party at Original Joe's. With 3 private dining rooms, it's the perfect spot to hold your next big event. From christenings to corporate gatherings, we'll make your next party San Francisco special. Original Joe's, see you at the counter.
Lurie here, reporting from River Islands in Lathrop, Northern California's best-selling master plan community. The breaking news from River Islands is the announcement that Del Webb, the best-known name in active adult living, is coming to River Islands this fall. It's been years since Del Webb has offered a new community in Northern California, and people are already signing up for their interest list. With a September opening in view, Del Webb is building 3 different model complexes for their 9 home designs. All of the homes are single-story, and 2- and 3-bedroom plans will be available. The community, it'll have its own lake and an amenity center with sport courts, a pool, club rooms, and a fitness center. Del Webb will be joining the River Islands roster of fine home builders that are creating all new neighborhoods near the San Joaquin River, alongside a lake or close to parks or trails. You can start your tour now at riverislands.com. Isn't it time for you to discover the islands? This one sure is for me.
Time now to go to Sunday school with the professor.
Hey, Professor, take it easy, will you?
Giants coach Ron Wotus with Marty Laurie.
Oh, I didn't know you wanted to get involved with the discussion, Mr. Helper.
On your home of Giants baseball.
Good answer. I like the way you think.
KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Brought to you by River Islands, one of the country's top-selling master plan communities just across the Altamont in Lathrop. Where else can you live on a lake next door to a park or walking distance to your kid's new school? With 10 new neighborhoods, River Islands is the one place you can't afford to miss.
All right, great to have you back with us as we get ready for Giants baseball today on Memorial Day. We bring in the professor, Ron Wotus. Well, how are you?
Marty, I'm doing great. I'll tell you, I got up this morning and I was driving into the ballpark, and of course there's no traffic because of the holiday, and I heard the president speaking from Arlington Cemetery about Memorial Day, and it just struck me. It struck me and hit me right. You know, you listen to that, and you know, for all of us to reflect and remember the fallen soldiers, and even more than that, the people that are still protecting this great nation of ours, that are still out there doing it. What a great holiday, and it was a great speech.
Yeah, well said, Well. I'm glad you said it. And Raf and I talked about it a little bit on our Open today, that boy, this humanity, this world we have, these fights and wars that go on and on and on and on, and so many people are killed. And this is a day you remember that. And you don't say Happy Memorial Day. You do remember what you just described. So I'm glad you could bring it up. Glad you could do it.
Yeah. Well, it really hit me. And, you know, so now I'm at the ballpark and all's well, right? The ball club's playing well. And it's been a good road trip. And they'll have a big game today.
Well, let's talk about the ballpark. How's the ballpark looking today?
It's looking good, you know, exceptionally good on this Memorial Day. You know, I mean, I guess it was the speech. You know, everything is good. You really appreciate what you have and where you're at. You know, the hot dog buns, the hamburg buns, they're all in place. You know, they're watering the Greg Elliott right now. They're out there. They're watering the field, getting it ready to go. And I'm sure it's going to be a great day here at the ballpark.
Well, what is a week like this that we just had? What does it do to a ball club? Look, we're at the 1/3 mark, 27 and 27. You know, the first 2 months we always say try to figure out who you are. I'm not sure we know yet. We'll talk about that. But what does a week like this do to a ball club this time of year as they're trying to get their identity down?
Well, it does a lot. I mean, number one, it gives you the faith and the expectation to win. And I think that's extremely important when you're muddling along and you're not winning series and you're having a difficult time and guys are struggling. That can manifest itself into, you know, spreading to the attitude everywhere. But when you do what the Giants did on this road trip, coming back, winning games late, and getting contributions from everybody. I think the veterans are energized by the kids. The kids are performing, but it gives you that expectation that you can win and the confidence. So the time is right. You know, the Giants were falling behind the Dodgers. They've made up a lot of ground on this trip. And everybody's saying, well, you got Philly, you have the Yankees. So what? you're believing as a club, and it raises everybody's game. And if they're not looking forward to playing the Phillies and the Yankees, then you shouldn't be in the sport.
Well, you got to take on the Phillies. Phillies are a tough team with Harper, but the kid behind them, this Alec Boehm, the third baseman, he's got 20 doubles already, hitting over 300. He's one of the league leaders now. And they're starting to – I'm going to ask you about Harper because I like pitching around Harper. Believe me, I never want to pitch to Harper. But teams are starting to pitch to Harper because this kid's hitting fourth behind them.
Well, that's what makes them so difficult. And, Harper, Bone, you got Schwarber at the top right away. One swing of the bat and you're down 1-0. That's what power does to you. And, it's hard to navigate a lineup when you have that much power because the more guys you put on base and the guys that can hit the ball out of the ballpark, now you're down by 2 or 3. It's easier to navigate a lineup when you have a few more single hitters in there. It's like, so what? It's like me when I played for the Pirates. I hit eighth before the pitcher. You know what the pitcher would do? He'd lay a fastball right down the middle so he didn't walk me. Go ahead and hit it. What are you going to do? Hit a single and then we'll pitch to the pitcher. But I'll probably ground out, and then the pitcher's leading off the next inning. So you're right. That's what makes them so good, partly offensively, but also, the pitching they have. And one of the best teams in the game, there's no question.
All right, let's talk about pitching around the hitter. Because we all like to manage along with Bob Melvin, no matter who we are. And you get late in the game, and here comes Harper coming up. I just wouldn't pitch to him. I really wouldn't. I've seen him. We saw the grand slam he hit. We've seen what he did to the Giants in the first series. I hope that they really take time and pitch around this guy in this series.
Well, I understand your point. There's no doubt about it. And I think it gets a little more granular for the coaches and the manager. I mean, they're looking at video right now. They're looking for weaknesses. So a guy may be that guy, but he may be struggling in a certain particular pitch, or it might be a location where we feel we can get him out. And if you got the right matchup on the mound with the right pitcher, you may be able to attack that weakness. I know that sounds a little bit strange, but it does get more granular when you look at the video and you see what's going on. I haven't looked right now if he's hot the last few games. I mean, we know he's good. We know Bone's good. But you dig a little bit deeper. So, again, the matchup on the mound is important and the scoreboard. So we'll see what he does. But I know they're looking at those things, and to your point, there's always a guy in that lineup you say, hey, don't let this guy beat you. So he certainly is that guy on this club.
You brought up a lot of good points on TV over the weekend when you did NBC Sports Bay Area and the Mets series, one of which yesterday was the unavailability of Duvall. But he did warm up quite a bit on Saturday, and as you say, he was hot. And once you get to that point, you might as well put him in the game, and that, of course, knocked him out from yesterday. But go through that, how a manager has to deal with that.
Well, that's the most difficult thing, or one of the most difficult things a manager has to do is navigate and manage the bullpen. And you got to worry about the players' health and not only health but performance. Some guys aren't as good, not Duvall in this case, but he threw 2 days. He had a day off. He threw 2 more days, and then he was up again in that game where we ended up getting the big lead. So he was hot, ready to come in. So that's considered, one up where he's hot to come into the game, and he threw the previous 2 games. So he's going to be shut down the next day anyways. And, you can't take any game for granted. Look at the game yesterday. They had a 2-run lead, and they ended up losing. So he was hot. He was going to be shut down yesterday anyway, so he put him in the game to secure that win. But going through it, there's a lot of people that get involved in if a pitcher's available or not. You have the trainer, you have the pitching coach, you have the manager, and, all these people are checking on the health of the player, and can he give me an out? Can he give me an inning? What his status is. And it's a difficult thing to do when you have 40,000 people in the stands and one of your main guys is down and you're in a 1-run game, and here comes Harper and you don't have your guy available. So those are the tough things for a manager. Those are tough decisions for him to make.
Yeah, that's part of baseball. You and I haven't had a chance to talk about Chapman and the play that he made this week to end the game coming in, and I may have heard you talk about it just on other shows, but you and I haven't talked about it. How about that one play where he comes in and throws out Vientos, the slowest guy in the world, and he gets him?
Well, I'm glad you're tabbing it the play, Marty. You do have phrases that stick, like the mosaic, right?
Yeah,
things of that nature.
True.
It should be the play because it was the play of the day. All the good things that happened, but Bo Mel said it best. When you're in that dugout, bases are loaded. We know how deep he plays, and as soon as Vientos tops that ball, you just drop your head. We got no chance. That's a hit because you know where he's at. And, Chapman is just so quick closing the ball. And, of course, bare hand, he executed it perfectly on the biggest pressure situation that you can have. And he got the ball over there to first. And Wade made a great pick. He stayed low. He stayed down, and he picked that to win the game. And I think everybody, when that ball was tapped, said, shoot, the game is tied. But to Wade's credit, if he lets that ball get by him, now you lose the game. So it could have been real ugly, and it turned out to be a brilliant play. And it's just how this club is playing right now. These things aren't going to happen all year, but it does breed confidence, and this is what you need to come together as a club.
We're seeing a lot of going over the wall and taking home runs away. Matos did it, and they did it. Bader did it to Chapman yesterday. And it's an exciting part of baseball. Remember Devon White and people like. Remember Devon White? He used to go over the wall every game and get one.
Well, he was one of the best center fielders. I mean, he had true speed. In the game today, a lot of center fielders, they don't necessarily have that true speed as guys did, 15, 20 years ago. I mean, that's what you look for out. And Devon White, he was a gazelle out there. He could run the ball down. He could jump. You're right. He was one of the best in center field, and I saw him take many home runs away.
Yeah. Now Jim Edmonds was another one. I thought he milked it a lot. I thought he was diving all the right. He was diving all the time. Come on.
He was a little flat, good outfielder, but yeah, if you look up diving plays by Jim Edmonds, you probably won't have enough time in the day to watch them all. You're right, but he did make a lot of great plays. He kind of reminded me of Freddie Lynn a little bit, for the Boston Red Sox. Smooth and, left-handed, diving for balls. Very similar to me, the way they dove for the ball and how many great plays they made.
Yeah, I like the fact that a wall is just high enough where you can do it. I thought Bader made a great play yesterday, and Matos has done it a couple of times too. It's an exciting play. It really is, and it does make a difference.
It is an exciting play, and I think because it's happening so much. I mean, a lot of parks have moved their fences in, right? Even here at our ballpark, right? We moved it in the length of the warning track, so there's more balls, and we have the shortest center field in baseball. I don't know if most people realize that, but since we moved the center field in, now Triple's Alley is deep, and we got the brick wall, but it is short. So I think, these parks, I hope that they're looking at these walls where they are short to make them a little more conducive to the player going over and making that play where they don't get injured, because it is a risky play and it's an exciting play. And it's a great point, Marty. The shorter walls are great where you can do that. It adds another element of excitement to the game.
Boy, all right, the professor with us. It's not Sunday morning. It's Monday morning. It's Memorial Day. So it's a little different for you and I. But there was one defensive play this week. I don't know if you saw it, but it was the infield fly rule was called. It's the Orioles and the White Sox. And the shortstop for the Orioles, Gunnar Henderson, is going to come in and catch a pop-up sort of in the base path between second and third. And Vaughn is the runner at second, and he's about 4-6 feet off the bag. And he just turns and starts to walk back to the bag, and then Gunnar Henderson kind of brushes him. And the infield fly rule is called. Well, they called obstruction on Vaughn. No intent. He was just walking back to the bag, and they called him out, and they ended the game. That was the third out to end the game. Did you see this?
Yeah, I saw it on a replay. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. One of your guests and one of our favorite guys, umpires that ever umpired in the National League, Eddie Montague.
Right.
He always tells me what he would use in enforcing the rule book is common sense, right? Common sense. And the guy wasn't even trying to advance. The batter is out, so the runner, the runner doesn't have to advance. He does so at his own risk. He wasn't going to go anywhere. I mean, the ball's in the infield. So it's a crazy play. I don't think I've ever seen it, and I don't know the total interpretation and why. I mean, they're sticking to the rule, right? It's like Barney Fife with Mayberry RFD. He's sticking to the rules, and he had one bullet like that. He had one bullet, and he ended the game like that. So that was a tough call.
I like that, Barney Fife. A good one, Will. That's a good one. Yep. There's one bullet. They're going to change that. That rule is going to be changed.
Yeah,
and it is going to be a
so.
common sense. It's going to be a common sense rule. Then we had another. I love what's going on in baseball. Maybe it's 2 months down. Teams are getting a little edgy. The players are getting edgy. Maybe we're getting into that part of the season where, this is the cattle drive. It's really going to start going now for the next couple of months. But the Red Sox are playing yesterday with the Brewers, and the Red Sox pitcher is the big kid Martin, the tall kid, the reliever. And the Brewers end up Blake Perkins lays down a bunt. It's a close game, and he beats it out. And the next kid, this Terang, sacrifices him to second. And at the end of the inning, Martin is so upset that 2 bunts happen that he gets into it with the first base coach, Quentin Berry, for the Brewers, and the bench is clear and the brawl, and they run in from everywhere. And Martin at the end says, I don't play like that. Swing the bat. I don't go for this bunting stuff. Come on. How about that?
That's ridiculous. I feel for the kid. He's going to find out real quick that that's part of the game.
Like crazy.
That's part of the game. If you're gonna do anything about it, do what Nolan Ryan used to do. Like a guy bunting on you, he used to drill you the next time you came up. You'd ask all the old timers. You ask Flan. I think he bunted on him once, and if you did that, he would drill you. But that's a little different scenario. But don't yell and scream and cause a scene. It's just crazy. It's just crazy that you get upset at somebody bunting.
No, come on. Nelson Liriano, he broke up a Nolan Ryan no-hitter. He may have done it twice. Ryan hit him in the neck.
Oh, God. It's not funny at all. I guess he was okay, but I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
That's it. And I'll never forget that story. Yeah, Nelson Liriano for the Blue Jays. Yeah.
Wow.
We had that. Then we had another. This has been this has been some week of baseball, I must tell you, with those games in Pittsburgh and New York. But we got the Brewers playing the Marlins, and Yelich, who's now healthy again and having a nice season. The Brewers slug. They score some runs. The Brewers are better than I thought. So he is on third, and the catcher for the Marlins kind of just throws a lollipop back to the mound. Well, he did it a couple of times, and then the second one, Yelich took off, and he stole home. Did you see that one?
I didn't see it, but I love it. As a third base coach, you're always looking for that. As a left-hander hitting a batter up, the third baseman playing way off the line. Because if you watch the game, right, Marty, like I know you do, but you see third baseman's way off the line with a lefty with 2 outs, and that guy down the line, he can come way the heck down there. Yeah. And that's the best time to do it. If you lollipop that ball back, especially if it's a left-hander whose back is to you, I mean, you could steal home on that throw back very, very easily. Most people watch out for that. I remember when we had shifts and we put a guy at shortstop, right? Third baseman's at short. There's nobody at third. And the guy, the runner at third, he's halfway to home. Messing with the pitcher and his concentration. We started putting a guy over there. It's a catch-22. You want to put the guys where the ball's going to be hit. But when you're standing on the mound and that runner at third's halfway to home, it messes with you and with your concentration and focus. You remember those days where pitchers would step off the mound and run towards the third baseman, or a ball in the dirt that just goes a couple feet away, the guy's going to score. So, yeah, those are all things that have to be managed.
Well, Rod Carew stole home, 7 or 8 times, and Pete Reiser, the old Pete Reiser, because pitchers would go to the windup. And once they started in the windup, the guy would come down. I saw Jackie Robinson do it, and I saw it. He'd come halfway. He'd come halfway down the line because the guy was in the windup. Then, of course, they stopped. Now they go to the stretch, so you can't do it. But with the shift, it's kind of like that. And I'll tell you one other one, Lindor. I noticed this yesterday. He was halfway between third and home. I would have stepped off and run at him.
Yeah, well, that's you see that happen. I know, Chappie wasn't all the way too short, but he was way off the line.
Yeah.
But it breaks the pitcher's concentration a little bit, and it's kind of a dilemma. You want to play where the guy's going to hit the ball, as I said. So you know what, you're doing your job as a base runner. Mm-hmm. If you're creating anxiety and you're trying to break the pitcher's concentration, that's why you get big secondary leads. That's why you get off as far as you can and hustle back to the base, because those things matter. It's a game of inches, and those things matter, especially when it's a one-run game. You see things that you could have done better or got a few more feet, and it can be the difference of being safe or out.
Yeah, it's a game within the game. It's a great part of baseball. Well, this week it's the Phillies and the Yankees. Now, I'm going to ask you this. And look, I even have feelings when the Yankees come in. I feel the Giants owe them one, going back to 1962. So it's the Phillies and the Yankees. What are your feelings about the Phillies and the Yankees? What comes to mind for you?
Well, what comes to mind with the Phillies is beating them in the National League Championship Series and going to the World Series in 2010. And, Philly is one of the places I love to go to. I love the public address announcer, the way he calls the batters. And it's always, there's rabid fans there, and they're always pretty good, and we've had some good matchups with them. So you got to be on your game. And, this is what motivates you as a player, even as a coach or a manager. You want to beat the best. And now the Yankees, I think of Brian Sabean, to be honest with you. We've been to Yankee Stadium many times, but Brian turned this organization around when he came over here. And, now he's no longer with us, and he's back with the Yankees, and they're playing well. Everybody loves the Yankees. Everybody wants to beat the Yankees because they've been, they're nostalgic, and they've had great players, and they've been the class of the game for a long time. Kind of like the Dodgers, they've had a lot of world championships. So it elevates your game. I think the fans will be excited to see the Yankees, and I think it'll be a lot of fun to play them. It always is when they come out here west because they don't do it very often.
Come on, you're a Red Sox fan. You must hate the Yankees.
Well, I did grow up a Red Sox fan, but, once you get into the sport as a professional, my heart's still in Fenway because we used to go there when I was a kid, but I don't hate the Yankees. I'd have to hate all my fellow coaches and everybody that I worked with all the years. We had a lot of Yankees here over the years, so those feelings have dissipated. But growing up, you're right. I hated the Yankees. My dad hated the Yankees. We were Red Sox fans.
Come on, and I lived in Brooklyn. Let me tell you, we didn't like the Yankees. It was we did every October the Yankees, and we said seen enough of them. So. Yeah, so every time I see the Yankees, that comes back to me. One quick one on River Islands. Well, it's almost farmers market time out there, which is one of the big things for me at farmers market at River Islands.
Oh, I know it is, Marty. What is it, the peach? Is it the Mackinac peach? There's a certain piece of fruit that you like to get at your farmers market.
The nectarines. The nectarines.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah,
right.
I'm big on the nectarines, but this is even Bonnie sent me they're picking cherries and peaches and all that already. So, but boy, River Islands has the best farmers market.
Well, they do, and it's a good point. This time of year, I can imagine out there today on the holiday how many people are out on the water. The boathouse restaurant over there for maybe a brunch, maybe settling in to watch a Giants game, going for a walk along the river. I mean. That's living. That's living on a holiday. So they got it all out there, Marty. And now that the peaches and all the fruit's coming in, it's a good time to go visit the islands.
Yep, absolutely. All right, well, have a good afternoon, and talk to you next week. Yankees next week, and I'll be there, so I'm looking forward to chatting with you.
Fantastic. We'll see you out here next week, Marty.
Okay, all right. That is the Professor Ron Wotus. Mark Simon next, right here on the Sports Leader.
Talking baseball with Marty Lurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the Sports Leader.
Experience the epitome of luxury and craftsmanship with Inicio Windows and Doors, another exciting product line from BMD Manufacturing. Inicio Windows and Doors sets the standard in ultra-premium European design. Wow. For the most demanding American building standards. Available both in steel and aluminum, they are meticulously engineered to elevate your living space to new heights of sophistication. Learn more about Inicio Windows and Doors today. Discover the perfect blend of European beauty and style with unwavering durability and strength. Visit InicioWindows.com. INICIO Windows.com. Inicio Windows and Doors, where European design meets American craftsmanship.
Mark Simon. Mark, I love you, man.
All right, great to have Mark Simon with us from Sports Info Solutions. Mark A. Simon says on Twitter, and a huge New York Rangers hockey fan, and you got lucky, buddy.
Very, very, very. It's funny, just how to kind of wake me up, snap me out of it here on a Monday where I'm sitting here just at my desk doing work. You text me and say, Rangers hockey, thumbs up. And then you play the theme song. And then the theme song gets me in a very upbeat kind of mood.
Well, we're glad to have you on. How was your experience being in the booth with Dave on Saturday?
So I've done this now with him 3 times where I've joined him for a couple of innings, and I thought that this inning was the best, and I have a specific reason why. There was a moment where Brett Beatty was up, and he had a 9-pitch at-bat against Luis Severino, and I did the little Tony Romo thing where on 3-2 I said, I think he's going to see the split here, and sure enough, there it was. And that was kind of cool to kind of get one right. And then we go a little later in the game. Patrick Bailey's up, Luis Severino pitching to him, and Bailey tying run on second. And Severino throws a pitch up, and Bailey looks like he gets a really good rip on it. And I'm like, I don't think he should do that again. And then he did it again, and Bailey got the hit, and the Giants went on to win. And I just liked that I had a couple of good moments.
No, very good. I like that. Boy, you were right about C.B. Buckner, I'll tell you that. What a strike zone that guy had. Come on.
Yeah, he's kind of adventurous with I think I described it to Dave as unusual. He is all over the place, and he's like equal opportunity in that he gets everyone annoyed at him. Pitchers, batters, managers, coaches, doesn't matter.
Even yesterday with the check swings, I mean, I thought he was very aggressive with the check swings, calling strikes yesterday. But who's today? We have Taijuan Walker. We'll get to the other things in a second, but we have Taijuan Walker and Blake Snell. Snell needs a wide strike zone, but the arm is okay. And Walker, you never know. Who do we have beyond the plate today, if you know?
Oh, boy. Give me 60 seconds on that. I can look that up, but you got to give me – Let's talk Snell and Walker if we can.
Yes, we can. Well, let's start with Blake Snell. And I said, my point in Blake Snell, I said, throw it out. Whatever he's done so far, it doesn't matter. Once he turns it on, he's now Blake Snell again. So we're just waiting.
That's a very optimistic perspective, considering that if you look at what he's faced so far, Diamondbacks are a top 10 offense, but the other 3 offenses that he faced this year are not particularly good, and he struggled against all of them. The guy, he has to get swings, and I said this the other day about the pitchers on the pitcher on about Jordan Hicks on Saturday. If he can get swings against his secondary pitches, he's going to be fine. But Blake still doesn't get enough swings against his slider and his curveball at this point. He's got to get a few more. You would hope that at some point he is going to figure it out, and I would imagine that the situation with family and such was a little bit of a distraction last time out, and you would hope for better things today. But this is the hardest lineup he's going to have to face probably all year.
I know. It's funny you said that. I saw the same thing when I looked at the opponents and the 4 opponents. I said, boy, he hasn't seen a big hitting team yet. Yeah. But look, lefties are 1 for 9 against him, so we know that it's still there. The arm is there. The speed was there. The velocity was just a question of putting the ball in the right spot. But, all right, swings and misses. That's something we'll see if he can get that done today. What about Walker? The Giants knocked him around at Oracle last year. I remember they knocked him out in the first inning. And they sort of had him on the ropes, if I'm not mistaken, in Philly.
Yeah, he had a couple of good moments in that start. His cutter was tough against the Giants. They did homer on the sinker. His four seam was also decent. He didn't start the season healthy. He's now a few starts in. The things that have been effective for him, the four seam, which he doesn't necessarily throw a lot, but he's getting a lot of outs with it. It's been very effective. The splitter has not been particularly good for him. Giants were on it last time they faced him. opponents hitting close to 500 against it this year. The Rangers were on it his last start as well. So a couple of teams have really been on the splitter. If the Giants are on the splitter, should be a good day. Just like Snell needs to get his secondary pitches get swings and misses against them. Walker does too.
Yeah, and they're going to hit Walker. I just have that feeling they're going to hit him. Lefties, 339 against them, so I'm sure the Giants are going to load it. By the way,
can I
Giants,
do the umpire now?
Well, let me say one thing before you do that.
Sure.
I actually have a Mark Simon stat. The last time the Giants, 7 games against right-handed starters, the Giants have won them all. How about that?
Nice, very nice. So the umpire today is James Hoy. For a pitcher, he doesn't really favor necessarily anyone. He might call the high pitch a little more often than others. He may call the outside corner a little more often than others, but he's probably not going to have any unusual calls around the knees. He's someone who I think we would say, for the most part, he gets them right. He calls them right. And I think hopefully that we won't have any fuss with the umpires today.
Okay, all right. Now, the Phillies, the end of their batting order, not great, but they do play defense. The kid who's filling in for Trey Turner at short gets the job done. Stott gets the job done. The kid in center field doesn't hit much, but he kind of catches the ball most of the time. But they're obviously a good team. They're one of the best in the National League and one of the best we've seen in years right now.
Yeah, 38-16. It's hard to beat that. And a couple of things defensively for them that are really significant. One, Brandon Marsh is playing a very good left field. So that gives them 2 very good outfielders and one guy who's a bit of an adventure in Nick Castellanos. But they have 2 pretty good outfielders. Rojas got off to a very slow start defensively. The balls that he was catching in past years, or last year, he was a little shaky on at the start of the year. The infield D, though, has been really good. When they play like a shift where they move the second baseman or the shortstop over to be really close to the bag, they're the best in baseball at getting outs on ground balls. Harper's been very good at first base. In fact, he's the most diving plays of any player in baseball, which I thought was interesting because he wasn't necessarily known for that in the outfield. And Edmundo Sosa's played really well, filling in for, you were just saying that at shortstop, filling in for Trey Turner. Their numbers since Trey Turner went down, they're averaging like 6 runs a game. They've been ridiculous.
Yeah, well, we'll see what they do in this park. Not a big hitter's park.
Right.
The Phillies, Braves, Acuna, goodbye. Strider, goodbye. Maybe the Phillies, this is going to be okay for the Phillies. They've got a 6-game lead.
Yeah, I don't see anyone catching them at this point, especially given the Acuna news yesterday. 6-game lead, 4 in the loss column, 8 in the win column, which is a little weird. The thing that I think about with this, though, is like if we were power ranking the National League, you've got the Dodgers, the Phillies, the Braves, were your top 3 when Acuna was healthy. Does Acuna's injury knock the Braves down? I don't necessarily think that it does. I think when you get to like the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th best teams in the National League, they're a little ways away from the Braves, and they're all kind of bunched together. And I know you're going to say that the Brewers are pretty good. I'm not convinced that the Brewers can pitch out of their starting rotation. The Cubs have been up and down. The Cardinals are hot. They've got an ace now in Sonny Gray. Goldschmidt's starting to hit a little bit. But I'm not necessarily confident in them. I'm not confident in the Padres. I'm not confident in the Giants. I'm not confident in the Diamondbacks. There's no one to be confident in.
Well, you may not be confident, but some of those teams are going to be playoff teams.
They're going to have to. Yeah,
they're
going to
be dangerous. And they're going to be
because someone has to win.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. If the Braves, and Chris Sale has been fabulous, he's saved them. Yep. If you put the Braves in with the Cubs in San Diego, San Francisco, St. Louis, and Arizona, you got 3 open spots. Then it's really going to be crazy. So the Braves better hang on and keep separated, because if they join the crowd, there are going to be 3 open spots here for playoffs, and that's going to be fun. That'll be fun.
And the crowd's a bit of a mess. There are a lot of teams there. You're seeing now, I think in like the last 2 weeks you've seen this. You've seen the Cardinals come on in the National League. And the American League has like a similar problem in some ways. And the Astros, who got off to a terrible start, have started to come around a little bit too. And both those teams have the same kind of situation. They both have a ton of veteran players on that team that are starting to age a little bit, and you wonder just what they're going to be this year. Right now, they haven't necessarily been much, but they're making a move at the 1/3 mark of the season.
Boy, every season is different. This could be wild for the next 4 months. It really could, because there's a lot of teams bunched up together, a lot of them. All right, well, we don't say enjoy Memorial Day. Think about Memorial Day, and have a good day, and we appreciate you being on. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Marty. Go Rangers.
All right. And he means the New York Rangers. All right. More coming up. Bruce Jenkins next, right here in the Sports Leader. Fans, I want to welcome Rick Robin Construction to the family this year, and Rick is an expert in home construction, remodeling of kitchen and baths in Napa and Sonoma. And Rick, what really impressed me getting to know you, the way you approach your business. Now, let's say I'm a guy who says, I want my kitchen remodeled. What do you do?
Well, the first thing you do is you'll call, you'll speak to Tammy, I'll make an appointment. Say we're going to do a kitchen. We'll decide what kind of kitchen you want. And if you like the estimate, I'll come back out, take detailed measurements, and then I'll take you down to our 30,000 square foot showroom and meet our designer. So you'll pick out all your cabinets, stone, your sinks, faucets, your flooring. Once all the material's in the warehouse, we'll pick it up, deliver it, start construction.
Boy, I love it. Beginning to end, Rick Robin Construction takes care of it. Rick, it's a great way to do business. Fans, if you want to get in touch with Rick, it's Rick Robin, RICKROBBEN, ConstructionNapa.com. Rick, how about a phone number if folks want to call you?
Yeah, call us at 707-332-7575, 7 days a week.
Rick Robin Construction in Napa. I heard from Gene Bagato, and he said that with summer just around the corner up at the Tides in Bodega Bay, they are getting ready and looking forward to welcoming everyone looking to get away and enjoy the Sonoma coast. In addition to offering the best seafood available in the restaurant, the fish market features a wide array of delicacies, from smoked fish and charcuterie to cheeses, gourmet crackers, and assorted beverages, Everything one needs for a picnic at the beach. Boy, that sounds terrific. And if you're looking to stay a while, the Inn at the Tides with its spacious, updated rooms is there waiting for you. So if you're thinking about planning a summer getaway, not too far from the Bay Area, remember the Tides Wharf and the Inn at the Tides in scenic Bodega Bay. I'll see you there.
Look through the window of the original Joe's on North Beach and you'll see two guys at the counter talking ball. Time for you to listen in to their conversation. Marty Laurie and the SF Chronicles' Bruce Jenkins are looking through the window of baseball. Sponsored by Original Joe's of North Beach and Westlake on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
All right, great to have you back with us. We get ready for Giants and Phillies, the first of three, then an off day, and then the Yankees for the weekend. And this is going to be some week of baseball. And we just had quite a week of baseball. So good morning, Bruce Jenkins. How are you?
Hey, good, Marty. How are you?
Okay, I'm looking forward to this series, really, with the Phillies. It was kind of a crazy end to the craziest road trip in the world yesterday. And now we've got the Phillies and Yankees coming in, so it's good baseball.
No, it's a great homestand. I mean, the Phillies, they just lost our series to the Rockies, the first series they've lost since like the first week of April. But you know, they're just so loaded. I mean, you talk about Harper and Schwarber, but they got Bohm, who's leading the league in RBIs now, and Bryson Stott and Castellanos and Real Muto and they're not going to see. Actually, they're not going to see Nola or Ranger Suarez, who pitched yesterday. But their staff is pretty good, top to bottom. They get interesting today. They get Taijuan Walker against Snell, and who knows what we're going to get from Snell. And Walker actually hasn't been pitching too well. He didn't get through the fifth the last time out, and he was yanked in the fourth before that against the Mets. So. Interesting matchup today, but the Phillies are a good show, and this whole homestand between Harper and the Phillies and the Yankees' power, it's a tremendous homestand.
So where are the Giants at right now? This is the 1/3 mark. Henry Schulman used to make such a big deal about it. It's the 1/3 mark of the season, and they're 27-27, and they have. You know, I had 8 of 10, 10 of 14, 12 of 18, so they've pulled it together to get to 500. But do we know who they are yet?
Well, I don't think so, because so much is in flux. The shortstop position, you don't know what's going on there. Luciano and Ramos and Matos are trying to make their mark. Randy Rodriguez. I think it's promising. I think it's very promising. I mean, this last road trip, there were some incredible wins went down. They went 4-2. Against some pretty tough opposition, and they pitch. You know, the bullpen is deep. There's certain things that we know. It's not you're looking for an all-star. Maybe you don't find one. There's a couple of candidates, but it's not like, we'll put Mookie Betts in there and like that. But they're fun and they're good. You know, they're also very vulnerable and they frustrate the heck out of you. But I just think they're very relevant, and we'll just see how it works out with the young guys, because that's. You know, if you're far anxiety, he needs those guys to continue this. You know, to finish in the race, maybe sneak into the wild card, finish above 500, get good seasons out of those guys to where you're looking forward to next year. When they set their positions for next year. Maybe Matos is your center fielder for sure. Maybe Luciano rallies and he can nail down shortstop and on like that. So, but I just think it's compelling theater, Marty. That's what they are, and that's huge.
Yeah, it is, and especially when you win late, because you get in the game and it's the fifth inning and you're down 3-1. Okay, no problem. You know, there's still a long way to go, and you start to believe that, and it's a good way to play baseball. You know, we talked about the All-Stars yesterday, and really we overlooked Webb. Webb, by the time the All-Star pitching staff is named. His earned run average should be in the 2s, and he should be leading the league in innings pitched. And I think he becomes an all-star.
Yeah, I do too. I was thinking in terms of position players, but yeah, he's their leading guy for sure. His reputation is great. He is a star. He's a guy who goes out and more often than not pitches a great game for you. And that's how he's known. It's established, and he's doing it once again. So yeah, I think Wade's up against a lot of competition. So is Bailey, and Duvall, or you might sneak in there too. But Webb is the guy.
Yeah, yep, I think so. I think that's where we'll go with that. Sad note today, and I want to allow you to talk about that. Bill Walton passed away, and Raf just told me that a few minutes ago.
Yeah, that's a crushing loss. It's a crushing loss for humanity, Marty. This guy, you talk about an exuberant view on life, enjoying every minute. This guy can take a walk in the Oregon forest and get on the air that night and talk about, the whole every step of the way. There's 2 minutes to go, and he's talking about a lake. But it was all in good fun. He was all about good fun. My goodness, this guy had about 78 surgeries, Marty. I was living in Santa Monica, working for the Santa Monica Evening Outlook in the early 70s when he came to UCLA. And boy, you talk about a revelation at the center position. UCLA was just unbeatable. Walton was just a textbook player. He had long hair. He was anti-war. He was everything John Wooden didn't like. Smoked weed, but the two of them together were basketball genius, and they came together to just a beautiful understanding. And he went on to Portland. They won a title. Walton won a title with 4 guys from the hardware store, and unfortunately, he tore up his body, just gave out on him. But as late as 1986, he was on the Celtics team, one of the best ever. He's up front with Bird, Parrish, and McHale. That's the best front court passing the league has ever seen. Cohesion among the front court, one pass after another. It was just gorgeous to watch. It's just a tremendous guy and a huge loss.
Yeah, the basketball part at UCLA, I'll never forget it. I forget, was it against Jacksonville? I forget who 22 out of 25.
21 out of 22.
Was that what it was?
It was 21 for 22.
Come on.
Good grief. I mean, there weren't any three-pointers in there. Well, there weren't any three-pointers to have. But he wouldn't have taken them anyway. His shots were all inside about 10 feet, really, but he had a beautiful bank shot, and that night he was unstoppable.
And I loved listening to him on the Pac-10, Pac-12, Pac-10, whatever you want to call it.
Pac-8.
Pac-8, whatever it was, with Roxy and the other guy, Dave Pash, I think was the other one, and he was terrific. Just a nice man, and the Grateful Dead and all this stuff, and it just, as you say, we lost a real good man.
Yeah, when he walked into a room, of course he was a towering physical figure, but when he walked into a room, he just owned it, and he loved that. He wasn't a braggart, but by any means, all of his exuberance was about other people, what they're doing, how they've enhanced, the sport, life in general, and he just lived to enjoy everything that came in front of him, every possible thing, and shrug off. This guy, at one point, he was just crawling around the room to get around because his body was so racked by surgeries, and unbelievable spirit.
Bill Walton, we lost him today. Boy, as long as I have you on, it's always fun to catch up on different things. Caitlin Clark, you've written about her. How is she doing?
Well, she's discovering that most of the women she's up against are better athletes than she is. They're not better shooters. They're not better passers necessarily, but they're quick as hell, and they're all over her, and they want to shut her down. And the league, the talent in the league is just staggering, and we see that every night. I've watched every minute of all of her games so far, and she's hanging in there. She's tough. And she's humble, and she's a great person. And any talk about other players hating on her, that's not happening. That's a farce. She's missing her shots, but I don't think she's been open yet. I mean, you've got these incredibly quick athletes just swarming over her, sometimes 2 at a time, and she can't get the shot. When she does get the shot off, it's contested. She's made some great passes. Sometimes they're like the old Magic Johnson, such a good pass a person isn't ready for it or misses the shot that she delivers to them. But it's been a testament to the league, basically, her first few games and how much talent there is. It's wild. My wife and I are really very much into the WNBA, it's a rewarding experience to watch, and she's going to be fine, but she's not going to dominate. As long as they focus their defense on stopping her, it's going to be tough because she's not a superior athlete to these women. She's a great athlete, but so are they.
Well, it's a good story, and I love when you write about it. So I'm glad that we could have you talk about it on the air. And she'll be fine. The shot to me is fabulous. But you're right.
Yeah.
It's like going to the major leagues. It's a quicker game, and you got to get used to it. The Braves, bad blow for them yesterday. Acuna out for the year. Bruce, this kind of puts the Braves, without Strider, maybe it puts them back a little bit into the crowd with everybody else. I mean, Chris Sale is 8-1, and boy, we may have Chris Sale and Seth Lugo as the Cy Young Award winners this year. How about that? But
yeah, Chris Sale. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's a bad injury for the Braves, and let's see the what it does to them.
Yeah, I mean, Sale's really turned back the clock to 2018, whatever. He's 8-1. He's got the 2.12 ERA and pitched a gem yesterday. But Acuna, he must have had a partial tear in there because he just went down on the bases. A complete tear of the ACL, gone for the year. And Ozuna was hitting, and you could see his reaction. He almost went to his knees. He was just so shocked by the sight of this great player who's had injury problems going down again. But Olsen went deep. He's coming around. They're getting Riley and Murphy back from injuries. I don't know. The Phillies are 6 games up on them right now. And they're going to be tough to catch because the Phillies have great pitching, and their lineup speaks for itself. And the Braves don't have Strider now; they don't have Acuna, but they'll be in the playoffs. I'm sure of that.
Well, it's a tight race here at the 1/3 mark, and I like to do this with you on Sundays. The Cubs have 26 losses, San Diego 28, the Giants 27, St. Louis. Bruce, they're hot 10 of 12 now. They've got 26. Arizona's got 28. And then you could take the next tier, and I'm not going to take them too seriously. Pittsburgh, Washington, Cincinnati, and the Mets, they're like 28, 29 losses. But, here you got the 5 teams, and if you want to put the Braves in there, there's 6 teams really for 3 spots now.
No, it's so great, isn't it? I mean, that's kind of the way it's going to be. As much as I like the Braves to be there in the end, they're proving to be vulnerable. A lot of it's against their control with injuries, but yeah, they're not quite the world beaters that they looked like in the past, and to have all those teams in there to the finish that's what they want. That's what Major League Baseball wanted, and I think that's what they're going to get.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good. We had a little dust up yesterday between the Brewers and the Red Sox. I don't know if you saw it. Did you see this with the pitcher? Martin was complaining that the Brewers bunted on him, and he doesn't like that. He wants people to swing the bat.
Yeah, that's an age-old issue. Some people don't care at all, but pitchers can be highly offended by that, especially if he's got a no-hitter going, and some guy lays down a bunt that offends him, and next thing you know, he might drill the guy just because he just was offended by it. Meanwhile, I mean, there are times when you really don't bunt, when the game's out of hand or something like that. But it was words, just a couple of words exchanged, and as soon as 2 guys start yelling at each other, then the whole everybody's there. Everybody was there, but Raph and you. It wasn't much, but it was interesting for a while there.
Yeah, well, that was Chris Martin. He got upset, and Wo and I talked about it. Wo says, "Look, you don't like it, you hit the guy." Yeah. And I brought up, Nolan Ryan with Nelson Liriano. Oh. Liriano broke up a couple of his no-hitters. He hit him in the neck.
Yeah, just for the sin of getting a hit against him, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, boy. We haven't talked about the Guardians, the Cleveland Guardians. Bruce, they've won 9 in a row. Jose Ramirez has got 50 RBIs and a ton of home runs. And if the Naylor brothers walked into the room, I couldn't tell you who's who. But they're with Kansas City. They're going to do something here in the Central. Oh,
absolutely. I mean, first of all, Jose Ramirez, how many games have has Cleveland won? 37. Well, he must have 37 homers because every night on the highlights he's jacking one out, whether he's hitting lefty or righty. He's an MVP guy. You know, the Andres Jimenez is having a great year. The Stephen Kwan's having a great year. You got guy, you know, who is Will Brennan? You know,
yeah,
they've got guys coming out of nowhere. But the Naylor brothers are really interesting. They're from Canada. And they both, you know, broke in at separate times, and they're playing together now, which is really cool. There was a National Siblings Day a while back, and they both homered in the same inning that day, but both in the Cleveland lineup and homering together. So they're having a great time. Apparently, I think Josh is a free agent next season. If they don't extend him, that partnership could be broken up. And Josh Naylor, he's just great theater. He's kind of a pudgy guy, but it takes a wicked swing and totally enjoys the game. There's a lot of spirit around that team, and you know, they've got some pretty good pitching, and they haven't had Bieber. So I think it's Beatty and McKenzie and Logan somebody. I don't even know who they are, but the record speaks for itself, and they're a fun team to watch.
And they got a bullpen, and they got the classe at the end.
Yeah,
and
you know,
exactly. And that's the story of baseball. You know, give me 6 innings, and as Charlie Dressen said, I'll figure something out. After that, that's the way they do it. Rafael Devers, that's another one we should talk about. Homered in 6 straight, and then he was 0 for 3 and came up in the 8th inning, and they walked him. And then he stole. It was First was open, runner on third. They walk him. He steals second, and the runner on third steals home. So he got his due. But the point is, homered for the Red Sox 6 games in a row. He knocked out Jimmy Fox, Ted Williams, and Dick Stewart from the record books. How about that?
Yeah. He was closing in on Dale Long there. Dale Long was the first guy to get 8 straight, which, looking at his career record, is pretty mind-blowing. And then Mattingly did it, and Griffey did it. Yeah, I'm sure you do. I was thinking, geez, that must have been quite a thing. But you know, Griffey and Mattingly, that's a lot more plausible. But 8 is crazy. He got to 6. Devers did. You know, I'm glad he's with the Red Sox, because usually you think of them and you know 3 or 4 guys right off the top of your head in their lineup and their fixtures. I mean, you go back to Rice and Lynn and Burleson and Jim Rice and all those teams. And when they won the whole thing, needless to say, that lineup was frozen in your head too. But Devers is I don't know a whole lot of the other guys on that team, but Devers is a badass hitter, and he's really shining right now.
Well, they got Duran, the center fielder.
Yeah.
He's got 8 triples, Bruce. A third of the way through, he's got 8 triples. He can get
Very
20.
Good.
You know, this is worth watching. So he's on our list. Bohm has 21 doubles now, 21 doubles, and he's at a third of the way through. So we got to watch him too. Ohtani still leading the league, 336. Betts 335. Our guy Arise, you said it. He'll never be under 300 again. 335.
Oh, no. Yeah.
William Contreras 332, and Sal Perez 325. How about that?
Yeah, it's Ohtani leading the league is pretty mind-blowing, isn't it? I mean, of all the things that he does, and he's got a little hamstring right now, and it's the team isn't going too well. But he and Betts at 1-2 is pretty cool, and you know, Bohm, who we're going to see this week, he's caught Otuna in the RBI lead at 47 each, which is wild. And Otani's Ozuna's still got the home run lead. With Harper's got 13 to Ozuna's 15, and Kyle Tucker's leading the American League in homers now. He's passed Gunnar, Henderson, and Judge. So yeah, those numbers are always interesting to follow. I'll tell you, the 300 hitter is so rare these days. I think there's 6 of them in the American League, and 2 of them are like 301 and 302, you know, and that's it. But to have Salvi Perez leading the league is really priceless, and I love Jeremy Pena hitting 320. He's a kid I've always liked.
Yeah, it's good. And Arise as a Padre, 31 for 87. He's hitting like 400 as a Padre. Something. Let's see. I wrote down 34 for 80. 34 for 87 as a Padre.
Yeah, they're all in awe of him, including Tatis and Machado. It's like this guy is a whole cut above. What he's done for that team is really very special. So it's a great trade. I don't know who they gave up. Maybe they gave up a lot too much, but right now this guy is Tony Gwynn, for them in essence, and they're a whole different team to watch now. They've got belief, and they're right there.
And they got a bullpen. This kid Estrada, Jeremiah Estrada. He faced 5 of the Yankees yesterday. Struck them all out. And
wow.
So this is another kid, 13 innings, 20 strikeouts. Good time of year for baseball because it's all coming together. And now we're going to start to see things. Bruce, let's see, 2 things I want to mention to you. One, Ohtani. Do you think Ohtani would ever give up pitching and just be the hitter with a year like this?
Well, not next year. I think eventually. No? I mean, if he has more arm trouble, then that's it. Really, you can't be sidelined, from that activity for that much time, and want to come back and focus on that. I mean, needless to say, he's always going to be a good hitter. The pitching is whether he's pitching or not doesn't enter into it. But I think right now, when he comes back, he's going to pitch. I mean, LA's Hollywood is counting on it. I mean, the whole LA scene is counting on it. This guy, they got him for that. I mean, what they're getting is crazy. I mean, he could lead them to the World Series without throwing a single pitch. But no, they've got to see the next phase of that before he thinks about not pitching.
Okay. All right. Historical note, Dale Murphy hangs him up. Hall of Famer? Boy, I know there's a push for him.
No.
No? Okay.
I never thought so. The thing is, he was around for about 4 years before anybody thought he was even a star. He had failed as a catcher. He failed as a first baseman. He couldn't field. He wasn't hitting. And all of a sudden, in the mid-'80s, and that's the time when I was covering the game on a daily basis, and he was unbelievable, like 82 through 87. He was really, really good. Homers and RBIs, and Bobby Cox put him in center field, and it turned him around. He won Gold Gloves out there. But, his best average ever, Marty, was 302. He's 265 lifetime. And he never got to 400 homers for playing 18 years. I love watching him play. He's a prince of a guy. But he never struck me as like one of those guys, those in italics. And next thing you know, he faded out. He's traded to the Phillies. He's traded to Colorado, and he fades out. And the beginning and the end of his career wasn't at all special, but he did shine very brightly for a period in the 80s.
Okay. All right. I remember his father. He started off as a catcher, and he couldn't throw to second base. His father said, "Boy, you're the best at throwing to center field."
He threw out a couple guys in center, yeah.
Yeah. I remember against the Giants at Candlestick, he'd throw the ball to center field. He couldn't catch. He couldn't throw.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good week ahead. So enjoy the week, and I look forward to talking to you next Saturday.
Okay. Thanks, Marty.
Thanks, Bruce. All right. More coming up. Paul White. Catch up with Paul right after this.
Talking baseball with Marty Lurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
All right, joining us is Grant Power. He is the president and CEO of Nations Restaurants. Grant, the menu at Nations, I love it. I've been talking about it for over 20 years. Tell us a little bit about the menu 2024 in Nations.
As Nations Giant Hamburgers, without a doubt, what we're most famous for are our burgers. Our bacon cheeseburger, our hamburger, however you like it, cooked to order. Do you want the lettuce, the tomatoes, the onions? Do you want extra sauce? Do you want the onions grilled? However you want it. Our only rule is we need to make it perfect for you. Our wild salmon, way too many people are not aware that we have it. At like all of our burgers, if you want it lettuce wrap or on a wheat bun, whatever you want, we will make it exactly as you want it. We do breakfast, the French toast, the omelets, the pancakes. We have a huge historical Portuguese influence in our company, so we have linguiça sausage. And our pies, obviously. French apple is a monthly special at the time, but whether it's cheesecake, chocolate cream, banana cream, coconut cream, lemon meringue, pumpkin, pecan, berry pie, if you want it heated up, a la mode, however you want it, that's how we're going to make it.
Wow, I love it. Nations, what a fabulous menu. I'll see you there.
Prepping you for today's orange and black ball game, we now take you back to Talking Baseball with Marty Laurie on KNBR, the sports leader.
Well, I mentioned this Jeremiah Estrada a couple of times this morning, and he did strike out all 5 Yankees yesterday in an inning and 2/3. I just saw a tweet from Sarah Slangs on Sports. We love her. Jeremiah Estrada has struck out the last 10 batters he's faced swinging. Wow. How about that? He struck out the last 10 batters he's faced swinging. My goodness. All right, Paul White joins us, one of the best veteran sports writers, baseball writers in the country. Paul, a pleasure to have you with us. How are you?
Hey, great, Marty.
How about this Jeremiah Estrada, just for a second? Have you followed this kid?
Yeah. You know, that's a sneaky, real good bullpen all of a sudden, you know, and that might be the factor that keeps those guys in the race because, you know, you and I have kind of agreed over the last couple of years the Padres have been a bit overrated. They don't have the chemistry. There's a lot of things missing. They've made a manager change this year. It seems to have helped some at least. But this bullpen with Matsui and Brito and Estrada is like, whoa, wait a minute here.
Boy, and they lost Bogarts. He's out for a while.
Yeah.
Cronenworth is still having the big year. Machado hasn't had it yet. But they're starting to put it together. And you're right, it's the bullpen because this closer they got, Suarez, he's almost perfect as well. So that's a game of bullpens, and that's what it is. Interesting to see that. Paul, I was going to ask Bruce this. I didn't have a chance to do it this morning. What do you think of Yu Darvish? Where does he fit into the hierarchy of pitchers in baseball?
You know, I think we forget he's getting pretty old. And this guy's got a lot of mileage. He's had some injuries along the way. But this was a guy, if you go back, he was pitching high leverage, big innings before he turned 20, all the way back to Japan. He was one of those guys, the kids that go through the high school tournament in Japan, which is like their version of the NCAA basketball tournament. And these guys do massive pitch counts. He was by far the best pitcher in Japan for years and through tons of innings. There's a lot of wear and tear on this guy, and I think he's still an above-average pitcher, but we're getting to that point now. We get clunkers now and then. You're starting to see it. You see that with Justin Verlander, for instance. I think Verlander's still above Darvish by a couple notches, but Darvish is a veteran guy that you want as an anchor for your staff, but you can't expect him to be a Cy Young caliber guy anymore.
Well, when you look at all the wins, it's over 200. I think I saw that the other day if you include what he did in Japan and what he's done here. So, yeah, it's a career, but you're right. He's got some mileage right now. But he is a big part of what the Padres have to do, along with Cease and Musgrove and those guys. So we'll see. All right. The invasion of the New York team, the Yankees, the Phillies, the East Coast, the big bombers are here for this week. What do you think?
I'll tell you what, the Phillies right now, they're the best team in baseball.
Tell that to the Rockies. Come on.
Yeah, that's okay. We'll take our little blips along the season. You know, the White Sox won a bunch in a row for about a week too. But yeah, the Phillies. It still may come down to the Phillies and Dodgers for the most overall talent in the game. But the Phillies have done a really nice job of putting this roster together. Dave Dombrowski is a master at taking a good team and getting it over the top. He doesn't care about minor league prospects. He does what's necessary to win now. And he's done a nice job. The thing that held them back for a couple of years was a bad bullpen. Now it's a pretty deep bullpen. Not a lot of household names, but solid guys and a lot of guys they can use. The starting staff is phenomenal. Nola is now their third best starter, barely. Zach Wheeler is a Cy Young candidate. Suarez would probably be the Cy Young winner if we voted right now. So they've got a solid offensive lineup. Trey Turner is a key for them in the middle. He's got to be a productive guy as the season goes on. But there's not a lot of depth there. They're going to need Turner back. But they're a really, really good team. And now with the Braves a little beat up and some of their other offensive guys that even are healthy, not really producing, they're vulnerable. And it's going to be interesting because you can expect Alex Anthopoulos to make some moves in Atlanta, and we'll see if the Phillies counter. It's going to be an interesting battle both on the field and in the front offices.
Boy, absolutely. We'll see what happens with the Braves. Chris Sale is in the middle of all that, too, the resurgence that he has had. My goodness. All right. Now, what about the Yanks? They're here, and they just beat the Padres up pretty good, although they did lose yesterday.
Yeah, no, they're a real solid team. Their bullpen's a little thin. Holmes, their closer, has been a kind of revelation for them. They rejuvenated that career, done a really nice job. They're starting to get a reputation that they can do the things with pitchers that Tampa Bay has been so good for years. A guy that sees things, okay, if we were to stop a bit, he's a pretty good pitcher. Pitching rotation has been way better than expected with Garrett Cole out. So he's probably the rookie of the year in the American League right now. Nobody knows the guys, but he's been a solid starter. I still think because Baltimore's so good in that division, the Yankees will need a healthy Garrett Cole in the second half if they're going to win the division. I think they'll watch our team easily, but if they want to win that division over Baltimore, they've got to have that East at the top.
All right, Ellie De La Cruz. We'll finish with this one. Ellie De La Cruz, 31 steals. He has this little thing now where he steals a base, he waves goodbye when he leaves. I saw that on Twitter.
Yes.
He like waves to the fielder. Ricky Henderson used to do that. He used to say, "Ricky's leaving now," and he would steal second. But all right, I'm going to put you on the spot. Ellie De La Cruz, does he steal 100?
You know what? I think he will. I really do, because they're going to push the envelope. That's how they're going to win, and that's aggressive in the second half. That's a very winnable division. They haven't had a great start. If you're looking for a team in a mediocre division that's probably going to get better as the year goes on, that's the team with all the young guys and some good young arms that I think gets better as it goes on, and he will push the envelope. And David Bell, will push the envelope. And you know the funny thing about this? If you get upset because he's waving and stealing bases on you, what are you going to do? Drill him the next up? That just puts him on first base again.
Yeah, can't do it. He can't do it. He's exciting. He's a lot of fun.
He really
is. Fun. Yeah, we saw him out here. Paul, thanks as always. We'll catch up with you in a couple of weeks and see where we are as we head into June. And this is going to be quite a race the next 4 months. I appreciate you being on. Thank you.
Thanks, Marty.
All right, that is Paul White. More coming up. Todd Zolecki joins us next. We get a little better look at the Phillies. He covers the Phillies for MLB.com. He's got a new podcast out as well, which you'll hear about. So Todd Zolecki next, coming up right here on the Sports Leader.
Talking baseball with Marty Lurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the Sports Leader.
Fans, just like baseball, Georgie Brothers Furniture is full of tradition as they've served the Bay Area for over 90 years. Still a third-generation family-owned furniture showroom. Their talented staff work as a team to help their customers select the best pieces of furniture to invest in. The 50,000-square-foot showroom is full of over 150 wonderful manufacturers. One of the most popular furniture lines I love and own is Stressless chairs. Stressless makes all kind of high-quality furniture, including sectional sofas, love seats, single reclining chairs, as well as the classic Stressless chair and ottoman. Now, starting March 29th and running all the way through May 28th, there is a great sale on Stressless furniture right here at Georgie Brothers. Visit the Stressless Gallery today. You'll find something that you love. That's Georgie Brothers in South San Francisco since 1933, the best source for home furnishings, or visit them at georgiebrothers.com. That's GIORGIBROS.com. Remember, tell them that Marty sent you. Fans, Bridge Bank delivers their clients full relationship banking, including treasury management solutions and global market services. Bridge Bank offers financing solutions to businesses for their working capital, equipment, and real estate needs. This is very important in today's world. Fred Voss is the Senior Managing Director of Bridge Bank's commercial lending efforts in Northern California. He has commercial banking teams in San Jose with Jesse Garcia, San Francisco, Oakland, Cheadle Cordova, and in Pleasanton. Bridge Bank, it's like banking at home. I can't say enough about it.
Orange and Black family, the godfather of Giants baseball now continues. This is Talkin' Baseball with Marty Laurie on KNBR, the sports leader.
Fans, it's great to have you back with us as we get ready for Giants baseball today. It's the Giants and the Fighting Phillies today. Joining us, and we love having him on the show. He's been on with us before, and that's Todd Zolecki. He covers the Phillies for MLB.com and numerous other things. Todd, how are you today?
Hey, Marty, how are you? Good to hear from you.
Well, we're doing well. First of all, before we get going, you have a new podcast going right now, which I know there are a lot of Philly fans who listen to our show. What's it all about?
Yeah, so Ruben Amaro Jr., former Phillies GM, player, former big league coach. Now he's a broadcaster, an analyst on NBC Sports Philadelphia. They do the Phillies games. Jim Salisbury, a longtime Phillies writer, myself. We do a Phillies podcast called The Phillies Show, and it's been a lot of fun. We're kind of getting this thing going. We're going to have Chase Utley on as a guest dropping tomorrow. So if there's any Phillies fans out there that love Chase Utley, they're going to want to check that out. And twice a week, we talk a lot of Phillies ball. It's been fun.
Oh, terrific. And where does one hear this?
Anywhere you can get your podcast. So Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music. We're on YouTube, so you can watch it as well. So, yeah, we're everywhere. We're trying to be everywhere. We're trying to be everywhere, Marty.
All right. Well, you got the hottest team in baseball, the Fighting Phils, as we like to call them. And, look, they took 3 from the Giants earlier this year. They ran into a little bit of trouble in Colorado. What happened in Colorado? They didn't hit the ball very well. That's kind of unusual.
Yeah, a very weird series. I think it started in the top of the first inning in Game 1 on Friday when Bryce Harper got ejected for calling balls and strikes. It almost seemed to set a tone a little bit. But yeah, they did not hit the ball that great this weekend. And then Sunday, Ranger Suarez, who is off to an absolutely historic start, and that's not just me saying that. He was 9-0 with an ERA under 1.5. He was like the first Phillies pitcher to do that since Grover Cleveland Alexander in 1916. He was off to just an unbelievable start. He totally lost his command in the first 2 innings, got it back, but then they ended up losing the series finale. So they lose 2 out of 3 to a Rockies team. I think most Phillies fans would have said, they're going to roll out of bed and take 2 out of 3. But hey, that's not how baseball works all the time. Even really, really good teams lose to teams that they should have no trouble beating.
Well, we talk a lot about Kyle Schwarber and Harper and some of the big names, Wheeler, Nola. But, boy, this Alec Boehm has really had quite a season. He leads the major leagues with 20 doubles. Bruce Jenkins and I love to talk about that to see if we'll ever have someone with 60 doubles again. But he hurt the Giants in the first series, and he's playing great ball for the Phillies.
Yeah, Alec Boehm, everybody, when he was the 3rd overall pick several years ago, and it was like, man, this guy is really going to hit. He's going to be just a rock star hitter. And he's always been very good, but he hasn't kind of taken that next step into being an all-star candidate, a potential MVP candidate. And this year, he really seems to be taking a step forward. He is almost automatic with runners in scoring position. I mean, he's been hitting, over 350 easily. He's been over 400 at times hitting with runners in scoring position. And that's a skill that he has had his entire career. His career numbers with runners in scoring position always above his regular career batting average numbers. And so they put him in the cleanup spot. He started the season hitting lower in the lineup. He's now hitting cleanup. And there's been times recently where it would have made a lot of sense to walk Bryce Harper with a base open to get to the next batter. But now managers are choosing to face Bryce Harper because Alec Boehm has been so deadly with runners in scoring position. It's really been a lot of fun to watch him hit because, Marty, in a day and age where a lot of guys, there's so much swing and miss, he is really good at putting the ball in play. So you'll see him slash a ball to right center field for a double, and that's, it's a lot of fun to watch a guy like that. He's kind of old school in that regard.
Well, he's picked up the ball club with Trey Turner still out. Now, Trey Turner had a little bump in the road in his rehab, I heard.
Yeah, he came in. He's been feeling really, really good to the point where a lot of people are going, man, they originally said 6 weeks, but maybe it only takes a month. Maybe he's back by the London series, June 8th and 9th. And then so they started pushing him a little bit more this weekend in Colorado. He came into the ballpark on Sunday feeling some, quote, soreness and stiffness, so they're going to pull him back a little bit. It doesn't sound like they're super concerned with it, but with Trey Turner, hamstring, his speed is so critical to his game. He's one of the fastest players in baseball. So if Trey is feeling anything in the hamstring, they want to be overly cautious with him. And, because shoot, you bring him back out there too early, he blows out, and now you miss him for, even much longer than you ever originally anticipated.
We've seen him before, and of course he got hurt in the Giants series, and we haven't seen him since, but that is Trey Turner. Man, a big part of the ball club. Let's talk Bryce Harper just a little bit. Look, he's a fabulous player, maybe one of the best in baseball today, without a doubt. What kind of a season is he having? Because he looks like he's become really a leader of the ball club, and as you say, he unfortunately got ejected on Friday night, just sort of pleading his case a little bit. But tell me a little bit more about Harper and how he's changed and how he fits into the ball club right now.
Boy, he truly is a superstar player. It's funny. Everybody asks me, Marty, I'm sure you get this too, like, what's this guy like? What's that guy like? So I always get asked, what's Bryce Harper like? Like, really, like, what's he like? And I'm like, he has been an absolute dream as a beat reporter who is there day in and day out. He's always available. He's always accountable. He certainly is a leader in that clubhouse, and he continues to put up big-time numbers. And it's funny, he's having a very good season right now. He's hitting a lot of home runs. He's healthy. He's playing a Gold Glove caliber first base. But he's almost kind of, in a weird way, flying under the radar because Alec Boehm has been so good, because the team has been so good, because the starting pitching has been so good. But he has been phenomenal. And the thing that really impresses me the most, Giants fans watching at home, anybody watching at home this week, watch how few pitches he gets in the strike zone. He gets almost nothing in the strike zone to hit. This season, he's like one of the, if not the bottom, second from last in pitches in the zone. It's been like that the last 3 years. So this is a guy who puts up these numbers despite getting almost nothing to hit night in and night out. And that's the thing that really impresses me the most about Bryce Harper.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. If I'm the Giants, I'm pitching around him, and they didn't do that in Philly, and he beat him just about every game. So we'll see. Todd Zolecki is with us, MLB.com, and he's got his podcast with Ruben Amaro Jr., who we know from out here, and Jim Salisbury. It's called The Phillies Show, so you want to catch up with that. Nick Castellanos, all of a sudden he's starting to hit. Now, when the Giants saw him earlier in the year, they got him out constantly on stuff away. He couldn't catch up with it. All of a sudden he's starting to put the bat on the ball again. What happened?
Yeah, so coming into the season, so last year, they took the 2-0 lead in the NLCS against the Diamondbacks. Everybody in Philly's like, this team they're going to win the World Series. They're going to win the World Series. Well, the bats go quiet late in the series. Nick Castellanos goes like 0 for 21 to finish the postseason, and he was swinging at everything out of the strike zone. So all offseason and all spring training, Nick Castellanos heard a lot about chase rate. You're swinging at too many pitches out of the zone. Chase rate. You got to cut down on your chase rate, Nick. You got to cut down on your chase rate. So now what you lost is you lost his aggressiveness, and he caught himself thinking too much, waiting for the perfect pitch. Well, that's no way for Nick to hit. So he got off to a terrible start. It kind of snowballed. And just maybe a couple weeks ago, I was talking to him, and he said, I've just decided I'm going to stop thinking so much, and I'm just going to get back to what got me into the big leagues, which is being a very aggressive swinger. And you know what? I'm going to strike out a bunch. You know what? I'm going to chase pitches out of the zone. But I'm also going to barrel up some balls as well. And I think that's what you're seeing from him. You're seeing a more aggressive batter. You're seeing a hitter who is thinking less, and I got to wait for the perfect pitch. Don't chase, don't chase, don't chase. He's not thinking that way anymore, and I think we're seeing a lot of those results.
Well, he's a right center field hitter, so Triple's alley is made from. The Giants are going to have to deal with him in this three-game series. It's Taijuan Walker today, Wheeler tomorrow, then Sanchez on Wednesday. Taijuan Walker knocked Turnbull out of the rotation, and Turnbull was going great. What should we expect from Taijuan Walker?
Yeah, Taijuan, he it's funny. He was pretty good last year. He won 15 games. He made like 31 starts. He threw almost 180 innings. In today's day and age, there's so much value in having a pitcher that can just roll out there every 5 days. He got hurt in spring training. He had a shoulder issue. Spencer Turnbull, who they honestly signed as a potential long man, makes the team. He's unbelievable the first 5, 6, 7 starts of the season. But when Taijuan comes back, he takes the spot back in the rotation. And, he's not maybe dominating the way he expected, but he's been giving them innings for the most part, and that's kind of what they need right now. So if he can continue to go out there every 5, 6 days, give you 5, 6, 7 innings, I think they'll happily take it. And he's expecting to kind of continue to get better as the season goes on.
Boy, Todd, one last thought for you, too, as we wrap it up with Todd Zolecki here. The Braves, the Phillies have a nice 6-game lead over the Braves. The Braves have lost Acuna now for the season. Strider is out for the season. You think the Phillies are relaxing just a little bit?
I don't think so. And you know why? Rob Thompson, their manager, he really does handle this clubhouse well. And I will tell you, to a man, every player that was on last year's team, and they returned almost everybody from last year's team, they really feel that they blew an opportunity last year to win the World Series. They won't come out and say, Diamondbacks had no business beating us, but I think deep down they know that they should have beaten the Diamondbacks. And so they're using that as fuel to motivate them throughout the season. The other day somebody mentioned, hey, Rob, do you guys realize you're on pace to have, you had the best start to a season through 51 games since the 2001 Mariners? Mm-hmm. And Rob Thompson goes, what did they do? And the reporter goes, they won 116 games. He goes, no, but what did they do at the end of the season? And he goes, they didn't win the World Series. He goes, exactly. So this is a team that is really hell-bent on winning the World Series. So they're off to a great start. They have a nice little lead. But and also this, too. They beat the Braves the last 2 years. The Braves were the better team the past 2 years. So I don't think the Phillies are going to go into playoffs going, hey, if we win 110 games or 101 games or 102 games, we're going to roll to the World Series, because they know that does not always happen. And they know that because they did it, the Braves, each of the last 2 postseasons.
Boy, nothing like a baseball season. The Phillies 38-16, 18-5 in May, and 30-8 in the last 38 games, and they've got the Giants here for 3. Todd Zolecki, thanks for coming on with us as always. Great report, and look forward to seeing you at the ballpark. Thank you.
Thanks, Marty.
All right, that is Todd Zolecki. Great to have him on. It's a pleasure to see everybody this morning. I had a little trouble with the stream earlier, but there I am. And as we get ready for baseball today, and we've got the Phillies. By the way, the Phillies beat the Giants 4 times in Philadelphia. That Mason Black was the last one in his Major League debut. And so the Giants have some work to do here. The lineup is out. Matos is leading off. Wisely is at short. And other than that is the normal lineup that Bob Melvin has been running out there the last few days against Taijuan Walker today. Time to bring in Carrie Crowley, who is going to host our Giants warm-up today. Carrie, how are you?
Oh, Marty, doing well. How are you?
Very good, very good. Had a couple of glitches with the stream today, and Raph figured it out, and we're ready to be part of NASA now. Believe it.
Oh, I believe you. But, I do almost every show on the stream, but Saturdays, Sundays, and now our Holiday Monday show, you take over the stream, and you've got full camera, no second screen, no back and forth between you and me. I'm just letting my voice do the work, Marty, because you're the star of this show.
Well, I like it. Listen, a big game today. Honestly, well, first let me get your thoughts on the road trip. Yeah. Look, you've watched baseball a long time. I have as well. Every game, you get into the 5th, 6th inning, they're down 3 or 4 to 1. You say, no problem. They are going to come back because they beat up bad bullpens. They do it.
They really do. And that was the one thing that they did a little bit of at the beginning of the season is when, another team would bring in its worst relievers or its middle leverage relievers, the Giants would take advantage. They didn't get a whole lot of hits or runs off of starting pitchers at the beginning of the season, but they can beat up on a bad bullpen. And I think that we saw that over the course of this road trip, especially against Pittsburgh. I really thought that the key point, Marty, against the Pittsburgh Pirates was Wednesday night against Aroldis Chapman. No one chased. No one chased out of the zone. He wasn't going to throw a strike, and no one put too much pressure on themselves. He threw 13 straight balls, enabling the Giants to load the bases and then get the big hits that they needed for that comeback. And when you start to win like that, you can prove that, hey, it's not just one way to win a ball game for this club. It's not just 3-1 when Jordan Hicks goes 5 innings and the bullpen shuts him down, or 4-2 when Logan Webb goes 7 and the Giants are able to get a few runs for him. It's, hey, if the starting pitcher doesn't perform that well, it doesn't mean the game's over. And I think that through the first quarter of the season, there were too many games where the Giants would get behind 2-3 runs, and that wouldn't bode well for them. Now this is a different ball club with a different look, and I think has inspired a lot of belief in fans, Marty.
Patrick Bailey. He's having a great season. He may be an all-star catcher. Bruce and I talked about it a little bit. I haven't looked at all the catchers yet, but he gets some big hits. He really does, and they don't pitch around him. And he's had that opportunity, and Lamont Wade has gotten the opportunities as well. It's going to be interesting to see how Rob Thompson works his bullpen against the Giants, because you look at what they're doing to right-handed pitching, and I said it today, they've won their last 7 against right-handed starters, and even for Yastrzemski, he gets the job done. They're hitting right-handed pitching, and it's Wade and Bailey lead the way.
It's remarkable to watch the way that Lamont Wade Jr. works at bats right now. You can have a good week, you can have a good month. Lamont Wade Jr. is having an incredible 2 months right now at the plate. The way that he is working counts, and I mean, Marty, he's got, fewer than 10 extra base hits this season, and he's still one of the best hitters in all of baseball because of that approach. And then you mentioned it, Patrick Bailey. I mean, what a big-time player in big-time moments. I go back to last year when he hit the 3-run shot off of David Robertson in Queens, and it was a flashback this week when he hits the big grand slam off Reed Garrett. You look for those kind of guys who rise to the occasion, and there will be days where Patrick Bailey goes 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts, and days where a throw might get away from him. But in the biggest moments, Marty, it feels like he comes up, and when they have Lamont Wade and Patrick Bailey doing that, they're going to beat those right-handed pitchers that you talk about.
Neither one tries to do too much.
No.
And look at Luis Ariz. His bat speed. I know that we had all this, Saras stuff this week with bat speed and all this kind of stuff. Luis Ariz's bat speed is like 70, as opposed to 90 or something like that. And he's got, he's leading the league in hitting pretty much. And Wade and Bailey, they don't overswing. That's what I like about him.
Yeah, I love watching them. I love the approach in the late innings from Lamont Wade Jr. because, it's different than, say, the power-hitting, patient Juan Soto. It's just he's looking for a particular pitch. He's looking to pull the ball into right field, but he can go the other way with it. He can do different things. He can fight to live another pitch with fouling a pitch off. It's just this classic approach that you don't see from so many hitters, who are looking for the all-or-nothing home run or bust swing. And Patrick Bailey's another guy who... I don't know about you, Marty, but 7th, 8th, or 9th inning, when the Giants get into a situation with, bases loaded or runners in scoring position, he's the guy you want up every single time. And when have the Giants been able to say that about a homegrown prospect in the last decade? They haven't.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. Wisely, he's in short today. It's interesting with Luciano. The bat plays for me. He doesn't pull the ball, hits it to right. He's very awkward at short. He just is. Can you just go with him in the big leagues? What's going to happen here? Can Wisely play short for you? But
no.
He's in there today. No, he can't. Okay.
He can't. He can't play short. Right. The best shortstop in the organization is unfortunately Matt Chapman, I think, and I don't think that they're going to put him at shortstop anytime soon because he's an all-star third baseman with a Gold Glove caliber third baseman who's had an all-star like week at the plate, and so I think that the Giants are in a tough position, Marty. And I wanted to get your opinion on this because if Marco Luciano isn't the answer at shortstop long-term defensively, I'm with you. The bat plays. where do you put him? I don't think he looks like a corner outfielder the way he moves out there, and you're not going to put him at third base because the throws are already wild from shortstop. That distance doesn't get any easier. I think if you're looking at a future position for Luciano, it might be first base, and I don't think that's ideal for the Giants either. Where do you come down on this?
No, he's got to hit a lot better. He could hit okay for a shortstop. He's got to hit a lot better to be a corner outfielder or a first baseman and make better contact and all that. I think the jury is still out on him. I really do. I think I'd like to see him stay in the big leagues. I think they can put up with him. Late in the game, you put in Ahmed when he's ready, and you do that. I just think you have to let him play some more at short, and you have to live with it. And I think that's obviously when the ground ball pitchers are pitching, you may want to have Ahmed in there. But I think he stays. I just wouldn't send them back. They may send them back because of the defense, but I think he's got to play.
I
keep
agree.
him up here.
I also don't think the defense is going to get that much better at AAA. I think that you're going to, it's not like you go down to AAA and all of a sudden guys are hitting you balls where you have less pressure on you and you're making plays. You've still just got to figure it out. And whether that comes at AAA or the big league level, we know that the bat plays in the majors. And so I'd like to see them stick with him even when Ahmed comes back. But then what do you do with Brett Wisely? Because I really like having him on this team, Marty. I think that the left-handed balance and the utility player role that he can fill, I think that Wisely is asserting himself over Tyler Fitzgerald, who's, of course, down at AAA right now, as the better player, as the Giants' true utility man right now.
Well, Wisely's getting it done right now, and the fact that he hits left-handed is very important that he can do that. But he's, 7 for 13 or something like that, and he's gotten some big hits and broke up the no-hitter for Severino and hit the home run and everything else. So he's here to stay. Fitzgerald, they sent him to Sacramento, and in 1 week he had 6 home runs. So it tells you a little bit about Sacramento, but it also tells you about the kid. And I think he just had to adjust to the big leagues, and he wasn't doing it quickly enough. But I think he's still in the mix. But until Wisely, look, there's an old saying, the players write the lineup. Yeah. Until Wisely can't do it anymore, or he can do it, he's here. He's not going anywhere. They like him.
Yeah, he's a good player, and he's much improved from the Brett Wisely that we saw last season, where he never looked comfortable in any spot in the field, and he looked overmatched at the plate. He's working good at bats right now, and I think that that's a big difference. He's not trying to do too much, and sometimes last year he looked overwhelmed at the plate, and right now he's in control. You go back to Thursday when he had the bases loaded, go-ahead hit against the Pittsburgh Pirates in the late innings. He just went right back up the middle. That's all he did. He didn't try to pull the ball. He just went right where the pitch came to him, and I really like that approach.
Hard-nosed kid. I think he's the youngest in the family and all that kind of stuff. And this kid had to scrap for his meal at night, to make sure he got enough food at night.
Let's not overstate this, Mark.
Well, no, he's that kind of player. You know what I mean? He just he doesn't take anything. No, he doesn't take anything for granted. And even walking around in the clubhouse, you'd talk to him, and he was all business. He's just a nice kid, and I'm glad to see him have some success. Carrie Crowley. All right, Blake Snell. What do we expect today from Blake Snell?
Oh, Marty, what do we expect from Blake Snell, or what do they need from Blake Snell? Because those are two entirely different answers from me right now. I mean, I think you take 4 innings. I think you take 4 innings of one-run ball and call it progress if you're the San Francisco Giants, and hope that you can beat up on Taijuan Walker, who they've had success against before. This lineup's in good position right now. You said that they're hitting right-handed pitchers. This, to me, feels like it could be a high-scoring ball game, Marty, and whenever I say that, it's destined to be a 2-1 game.
I feel that Snell is ready. I do. Okay. He had the 2 good rehab starts. He had some trouble in the next start, maybe the umpire. He got some bad calls. He couldn't get that one call that ended an inning, and it just snowballed after that. He's in the big park. He's home. Hopefully the baby's been born. I haven't heard the news yet on that. But I think he's ready. I really do. I think he's going to have a big game today.
I don't know. I think that this is You know, if he turns around his season, Marty, today's probably the start of that. I think that the Giants are waiting for an opportunity for Blake Snell to look like the Blake Snell of old, and how better to do that than against the best team in baseball right now, the 38-16 Philadelphia Phillies, where this lineup is just loaded, top to bottom. I mean, there's no one you want to face right now, and Alec Boehm has been so good this season. Bryce Harper in the 3 spot. I mean, he crushes the Giants, always has, even at Oracle Park. So if Blake Snell turns around his season, it's probably today. But if it doesn't go well, then you got the Yankees on Sunday coming to town. Right. I mean, this could spiral out of control if it hasn't already for Blake Snell.
All right. I feel more optimistic about it. All right. So it's 27-27. We've played a third of the season. We got 108 to go. There's plenty to go, as JD knows. This is what I say. How do you feel about the race? And the Dodgers have lost 5 in a row. The Padres starting to have a little bit of a bullpen now. Arizona really has not clicked yet, but they are getting people back. Well, how do you feel about this?
You know, I feel a lot better than I did 2 weeks ago. And you were the one who said there's a long way to go. You were the one who kind of, walked me back into this thing. I was worried about you 2 weeks ago. You were very worried about me, Marty. I appreciate the concern that you showed. But I do think that the Giants are in a position now where they've proven that they can win games in a variety of ways. And when you win like they did on this road trip, when you come back, it inspires the team. And you'll come to a random game in July. They'll be down 5-0, and they can point to the wins in Pittsburgh. They can point to the comebacks against the Mets and say, we've done this before. We can win these types of ball games, because they had about a 40-game sample size of not winning any games like that, of never coming back, of falling behind early and the game being over. And the Giants changed that narrative on this road trip. It started with the big wins over Colorado. They had the 10-run game on Friday night where Tyro Estrada hit the big 3-run home run that put the Giants ahead. Then they win 14-4 on Saturday. That was big. And now I'm of the belief that they feel that they can survive this little tough stretch that they're going to come upon right now. And the Phillies, the Yankees, the Diamondbacks, the Rangers, the Astros. Marty, if they get through the next 2 weeks 500, then I think they can start to take off.
Yeah, they need a pitcher.
They do.
Tuesday, they need a pitcher for Tuesday, and I don't know what they're going to do there. Probably a bullpen game, I imagine, is what they'll end up doing. They'll throw the lefty to start for Schwarber and Harper, so we'll probably see a bullpen game on Tuesday. But you have to promise me if they lose 3 in a row or they win 3 in a row that you won't declare the season over or they're champions yet. This is not a day-by-day thing. And I know Twitter and social media and everyone loves to talk about every single day. The world changes every day. Not in baseball.
No.
We got a long way to go.
We do. We do. I won't declare it over if they lose the next 3 against the Phillies.
Please.
But if they go 0-6 on the homestand, Marty, you might hear a different tone from me next Sunday when we talk again.
Don't worry. We got plenty to go. Plenty to go. As long as you can pitch, you're in it. And they got a good bullpen. They have good depth on the pitching staff, and that helps a lot.
They need Reggie Crawford up here soon.
Oh, that could happen, but now they got Pomerantz as the new lefty, so
That's
they
true.
realize that they need an extra lefty. But I think Tuesday will be Eric Miller. Probably will get the start on Tuesday. How are the folks?
Doing well, listening in today, riding around San Francisco on the bikes, so all good. Looking forward to more Giants baseball, and they'll be home with me, and I'll be watching the game with them, so it'll be all good.
Fabulous. Love to Nancy and to FX. I miss him. All right. Have a great afternoon, and I will sign off. It's been 3 days for me this weekend. I'm glad to now sit back and watch the game and turn it over to my dear friend and a great, great broadcaster, and that is Carrie Crowley with our Giants warm-up right now. Carrie, take it away.
Seam heads, start cracking those peanuts and spitting those seeds, because gloves are soon to be popping.
He makes a headlong